Most people spend their lives trying to upgrade everything around them. They chase the next raise, the newest technology, the fastest shortcut to success. But here's the problem. We rarely stop to ask if we've upgraded the thing that drives all those decisions, our mindset. Your mindset is like the software running behind every action, every relationship, every moment of stress or excitement. It dictates how you see the world, how you define success, how you respond to adversity. It's invisible, but it's the most powerful force in your life. Imagine for a moment you're trying to run the latest apps on a 10-year-old phone. What happens? It freezes. It crashes. Doesn't matter how good the app is, if the operating system is outdated, nothing works well. That's what most people are doing. They're trying to live their best lives with thinking that was shaped years ago by fear, by outdated assumptions, by someone else's definition of what's possible. Upgrading your mindset doesn't mean being positive all the time. It means being aware of how you think and questioning it. It means choosing thoughts that serve your growth rather than limit it. It means replacing line by line the faulty code we inherited, beliefs like, I'm not good enough, or success is only for a few. And now, let's talk about growth. We all say we want to grow. But growth doesn't happen in the comfortable places. It begins at the edge of what we know, what we're used to, and what feels safe. That's where the upgrade begins. The human brain is wired for certainty, but growth is anything but certain. We avoid failure. We avoid looking foolish. We avoid being wrong. But if your mindset still sees failure as something bad instead of something necessary, then growth will always feel like a threat rather than a gift. Some of the greatest innovators, leaders, and thinkers didn't start out smarter. They just had different mindsets. They welcomed failure as feedback. They didn't attach their identity to a single outcome. They saw challenge not as a dead end, but as a doorway. And let's be clear, the beliefs we hold define the life we live. What you believe about yourself becomes the ceiling of your success. If you believe you're not a leader, you'll avoid taking responsibility. If you believe people can't change, you'll never give them the chance to. If you believe your past defines your future, you'll live in circles. And here's the catch: most of our beliefs weren't chosen consciously. They were absorbed through family, school, society, and unless we stop and examine them, they become our autopilot. Upgrading your mindset means turning off autopilot. It means grabbing the wheel and asking, is this belief helping me or holding me back? Finally, understand this: mindset is not fixed, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be practiced, refined, and mastered. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stay open to learning. So how do we upgrade our mindset? Start with awareness. Catch the thought patterns that keep looping. Notice how you talk to yourself when you fail. Pay attention to how you interpret criticism or how quickly you dismiss an idea because it feels too big. Those are the moments where an upgrade can happen. Then take responsibility for your input. What books are you reading? Who are you listening to? What environments are you choosing? Because mindset doesn't grow in a vacuum. It grows through what you expose yourself to. And finally, practice daily, like brushing your teeth, repeating affirmations that rewire beliefs, journaling your thoughts to trace your patterns, stretching your comfort zone a little at a time. Every single day, you have the choice to think a little differently. The future doesn't belong to those who know more. It belongs to those who believe better. And when you upgrade your mindset, you unlock that future, not just for yourself, but for the people you lead, the people you love, and the life you build. So don't just upgrade your goals. Upgrade the operating system behind them. Upgrade your mindset, and everything else will follow. We live in a world obsessed with external change. People seek better strategies, chase new routines, or look for the next productivity hack, thinking that these upgrades will produce a better life. But what if we've been looking in the wrong place? What if the first thing we need to upgrade isn't what we do, but how we think? Most people attempt to change their actions while keeping the same thinking patterns that created the problem in the first place. They expect new outcomes while using old frameworks. This is like trying to build a new house on a cracked foundation. It may look good for a while, but eventually everything collapses under pressure. The way we process information, the way we perceive challenges, the way we respond to failure, these are all dictated by our mindset. It is not the situation itself that determines our response, but the meaning we assign to it. Two people can go through the same rejection. One uses it as fuel, the other as a reason to quit. What separates them isn't talent or experience, it's mindset. Think of mindset like a lens. If the lens is scratched or distorted, no matter how beautiful the world in front of you is, it will always appear flawed. You'll look at opportunity and see risk. You'll face feedback and hear criticism. You'll approach relationships from a place of insecurity instead of trust. The lens through which we see the world becomes the filter through which we live our lives. If the lens is broken, the vision will always be blurred. Upgrading your mindset means cleaning the lens, updating the system, and replacing fear with curiosity. Let's consider decision making. Every decision we make is influenced by the beliefs we carry. If your mindset is shaped by scarcity, every opportunity feels like a threat to your resources. If your mindset is shaped by fear, every risk feels like a danger rather than a possibility. And if your mindset is shaped by self-doubt, you'll talk yourself out of dreams before you even start. These decisions don't just affect your future, they reinforce your current mindset. Every time you back away from risk, you confirm the belief that you're not capable. Every time you stay silent instead of speaking up, you tell yourself your voice doesn't matter. And over time, this mindset becomes automatic. Now, here's the thing: most people aren't even aware that they're running on outdated mental software. They think, this is just how I am, or that's just the way life works. But the truth is, most of us are operating on beliefs and mental models that we absorbed when we were young, often from parents, schools, or cultural environments. We were never taught to challenge them, only to obey them. As a result, many people go through life with a reactive, defensive mindset instead of a proactive, intentional one. Upgrading your mindset starts with one simple idea: awareness. You cannot change what you don't see. You must become an observer of your own thoughts. Why did that comment upset me? Why do I hesitate before speaking in meetings? Why do I always assume the worst when something goes wrong? These questions are not meant to criticize you. They're designed to help you think about your thinking. That's the real beginning of change. When we pause long enough to reflect, we create the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, we find power. Imagine what happens when your mindset shifts from I have to I get to, from why is this happening to me, to what is this teaching me, from I'm not ready, to this is how I learn. These small shifts are the upgrades that lead to major change. They rewire your perspective. They allow you to see life not as something happening to you, but something happening for you. And when that shift happens, everything around you starts to look different, even if nothing around you has changed. This is why people who upgrade their mindset often seem calm in chaos. It's not because their lives are easier, it's because their interpretation is wiser. They've trained their mind to look for meaning, to seek opportunity, and to lead from purpose rather than panic. They understand that mindset is the starting point, not the finish line. And so they treat their thinking like any other skill, something to be developed, refined, and improved. Here's what's truly powerful. When you begin to upgrade your mindset, you not only change your life, you change your influence. Your upgraded mindset helps others feel safer, more inspired, more hopeful. People follow those who see things clearly and respond intentionally. That's what leadership is. It's not about titles or authority. It's about clarity of thought and consistency of purpose. And both begin with the right mindset. So when you find yourself stuck, overwhelmed, or uncertain, don't just look for a new action. Look for a new mindset. Ask yourself, what belief is driving my decision? What story am I telling myself about this moment? And is that story still serving me? Or is it time for an upgrade? Because once the mindset is upgraded, the possibilities become limitless. We often say we want growth, but we tend to chase it in the most comfortable ways possible. We sign up for courses but drop them when they get hard. We read books but ignore the chapters that challenge our beliefs. We talk about change, but in reality, what we often seek is improvement without discomfort, results without resistance. But here's the truth no one likes to admit: real growth doesn't come when everything feels safe. It begins when we're uncomfortable. It starts when we step into situations that make us feel uncertain, exposed, and even a little afraid. The brain is wired to protect us. It likes routine. It craves certainty. When something threatens to disrupt our familiar patterns, our first instinct is to pull back. That's biological. It's natural. But it's not always helpful, because the same mechanism that keeps us safe also keeps us small. The problem isn't that we feel fear. The problem is that we let fear dictate our choices. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed not because you weren't ready, but because you were uncomfortable? How many conversations have you avoided? Not because you didn't care, but because it made you anxious? How many dreams have you delayed? Not because they weren't important, but because the path to them was filled with risk and uncertainty. These aren't questions to shame you. They're questions to make you aware of a deeper truth. If we only do what feels safe, we limit ourselves to a very small life. We grow by doing things we haven't done before. We grow by entering environments that stretch us, expose our limitations, and challenge our assumptions. But most of us have been taught to avoid failure at all costs. In school, mistakes were punished. In society, perfection is praised. So it's no surprise that when we hit resistance, our instinct is to retreat. We tell ourselves, maybe I'm not cut out for this, or it's just not the right time. But most of the time, what we really mean is, this is uncomfortable and I don't like it. But what if discomfort wasn't something to avoid? What if it was a signal not of danger, but of development? What if instead of pulling away from fear, we leaned into it with curiosity? That's what people with an upgraded mindset do. They reframe discomfort as a sign they're on the right track. When they feel stretched, they don't retreat, they reflect. They ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of how do I make it stop, let's take a moment to consider the people we admire most. Innovators, leaders, change makers. Were they immune to fear? No. Did they have an easier path? Not at all. But they chose discomfort over stagnation again and again. They placed themselves in environments where they didn't have the answers, where failure was likely, and where criticism was unavoidable. Why? Because they knew that if they only stayed where they were strong, they'd never discover what else they were capable of. This is the paradox. We grow stronger by being vulnerable. We become wiser by being wrong. We become more resilient by facing resistance. That is the process of transformation. Not a straight line, not a smooth ride, but a series of difficult, sometimes painful experiences that shape who we become. And here's where mindset makes all the difference. If your mindset is rigid, you'll see challenge as a threat. You'll try to control the outcome. You'll focus on what might go wrong. But if your mindset is growth oriented, you'll see challenge as a partner. You'll focus on what you can learn. You'll welcome feedback. You'll embrace effort. You won't just try to succeed. You'll aim to improve. And that's a completely different way of moving through the world. This mindset doesn't develop overnight. It's built slowly through repetition. It's built by choosing the uncomfortable option a little more often, by speaking up when it would be easier to stay quiet, by saying yes to the opportunity that scares you, by failing, reflecting, and showing up again anyway. These aren't grand gestures, they're daily choices. And over time, they shape the kind of person you become. And let's be honest, it's not easy. It takes courage to unlearn comfort. It takes patience to sit in the unknown. It takes humility to admit you don't know yet, but you're willing to learn. But the payoff is enormous, because on the other side of that discomfort is confidence, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet, steady kind that comes from knowing you've done hard things and survived. So if you want to grow, really grow, don't ask for fewer problems. Ask for a stronger mindset. Don't chase ease. Chase evolution. Don't fear discomfort. Let it lead you, because every time you choose growth over comfort, you become a little more of who you're meant to be. There's a quiet force guiding every decision we make, every risk we avoid, every dream we chase or don't chase. That force is belief. Not just belief in an idea or a cause, but belief in ourselves. Belief in what we're capable of, belief in what's possible. And here's what most people don't realize. The story you tell yourself about who you are becomes the script for how you live your life. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our beliefs. And what makes this more complicated is that we rarely choose these beliefs consciously. Most of the beliefs that govern our behavior were picked up passively. We absorb them through childhood experiences, through the words of teachers, through the opinions of peers, and through the invisible rules society teaches us about who we're supposed to be. These beliefs settle into the background of our thinking and quietly shape how we interpret the world. They form our mindset. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who carries the belief, I'm not a leader. It may not be something they say out loud. It may not even be something they're fully aware of. But it shows up. It shows up when they hesitate to speak in meetings. It shows up when they let others make decisions even when they have ideas. It shows up when they defer to others, believing their input isn't valuable. The belief doesn't have to be true to be powerful. It just has to be accepted as truth. That's the danger of limiting beliefs. They don't have to be accurate. They just have to go unchallenged. And the scary thing is, most people don't question them. We mistake familiarity for truth. If we've thought something long enough, it becomes just the way it is. But the reality is much of what we believe is inherited, not chosen. And until we become conscious of those beliefs, they remain the ceiling of our potential. This is why mindset work isn't about becoming someone new. It's about unbecoming the stories that never belonged to us. The ones that told us we weren't enough. The ones that told us we had to play small to be safe. The ones that said success is only for other people, not people like us. We have to become better editors of our own thoughts. And that starts with awareness. Awareness gives us the power to notice when a belief is speaking that no longer aligns with who we want to become. For instance, if every time you face a challenge, your internal dialogue says, I can't do this, ask yourself, where did that voice come from? Is it your voice or someone else's? Is it based on facts or on fear? This kind of self-inquiry doesn't just change how we think. It changes how we lead, how we relate, and how we show up in the world. And here's the beautiful thing, just as beliefs can be learned, they can also be unlearned. Just as we were conditioned to believe we're limited, we can recondition our minds to believe in possibility. That's what an upgraded mindset is really about. It's not about adopting toxic positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It's about building a mental framework that supports growth, possibility, and purpose. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through repetition. You cannot override a lifelong belief with a single insight. You have to teach your mind a new language. This happens through practice, repeating new truths until they become familiar. Things like, I am capable. I am still learning. I don't have to know it all to begin. At first, these ideas may feel foreign. They might feel like lies. But with enough repetition and reinforcement, they begin to feel like home. This is also where your environment matters. Beliefs are not formed in isolation. They are influenced by the people you surround yourself with. If you are around people who constantly complain, fear change, and criticize growth, your mindset will shrink. But if you are around people who challenge themselves, who support your evolution, who speak to the best in you even when you can't see it, you begin to adopt new beliefs by proximity. We are tribal by nature. We mirror what we see. So to shift your mindset, you may also need to shift your circle. Find people who reflect the mindset you aspire to and allow their presence to help rewire your own. This is the work. It's slow, it's invisible, and it's deeply personal. But the results are life-altering. Because once your mindset changes, your actions change. Once your actions change, your habits change. And once your habits change, so does your entire future. It all begins with belief. When you believe that growth is possible, you stop fearing mistakes. When you believe that you're worthy, you stop chasing external validation. When you believe that your voice matters, you begin to speak up, lead, and create change. So the question is simple: what do you believe about yourself? And is it time to rewrite that story? Most people think mindset is something you're born with. Either you're naturally optimistic or you're not. Either you're strong under pressure or you break. Either you're confident or you're insecure. But that's a myth, a convenient one, because it lets us off the hook. The truth is, mindset is not fixed. It's not inherited. It's not a personality trait. It's a discipline, a skill, something that can be trained, refined, and upgraded through intentional practice. Like any skill, it doesn't appear overnight and it doesn't improve by accident. It is earned daily. What's fascinating is that we understand this when it comes to physical fitness. No one walks into a gym once and expects to walk out in peak condition. We know we have to show up consistently, push ourselves beyond comfort, and nourish our bodies with the right fuel. But when it comes to our minds, we often expect results without the effort. We want mental strength without facing struggle. We want emotional resilience without experiencing difficulty. We want clarity without reflection. It doesn't work like that. Your mindset is shaped by what you repeatedly do, say, consume and focus on. Just like a muscle, your thoughts follow the path of least resistance. So if your default is negative thinking, self-doubt, or fear, that's the path your brain will travel unless you actively build a new one. This is why intentional input is critical. If you're not feeding your mind with empowering content, if you're not surrounding yourself with expansive conversations, if you're not reflecting on your patterns and challenging your thinking, you're not growing your mindset. You're just repeating it. It starts with awareness. Every time you face a setback, there's a moment, a very small space where you choose your response. That moment is where the training happens. Do you default to blame? Do you withdraw? Do you give up quickly? Or do you pause, reflect, and choose to view the setback as feedback? That moment determines whether you reinforce the old mindset or build a new one. And then it continues with consistency. Mindset work isn't sexy. It's not about grand declarations or big, bold moves. It's about daily effort. It's about catching yourself when the old narrative sneaks back in and replacing it with a new one. It's journaling your thoughts to expose limiting patterns. It's taking a few minutes in the morning to set your intention for the day. It's listening to content that challenges your beliefs. It's choosing to speak kindly to yourself, especially when you fail. One of the most powerful ways to upgrade your mindset is to study people who think differently than you. Spend time with people whose lives reflect the outcomes you want, not just the opinions you agree with. Because exposure leads to expansion. When you see someone confront fear with calm, when you see someone face rejection with grace, when you see someone operate with unshakable purpose, it activates something in you. It shows you what's possible. It gives you a new mental blueprint. But even then, it's not enough to watch. You have to apply. Mindset doesn't shift by consumption alone. It changes through implementation. You have to live the ideas, practice them, test them in real life. You won't always get it right. You'll fall back into old habits. That's part of the process. But each time you catch yourself, each time you choose differently, you're strengthening your mental framework. And this is where discipline matters. Not discipline as punishment, but discipline as commitment. Commitment to growth, commitment to curiosity, commitment to a better version of yourself, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. It's also important to understand that mindset isn't just about how you think about yourself. It's also about how you interpret the world. A fixed mindset sees people as static, good or bad, smart or dumb, worthy or unworthy. An upgraded mindset sees nuance. It sees potential in people. It sees that people like us are always in motion, capable of evolving, learning, and surprising us. This perspective makes us better leaders, better collaborators, better human beings. So, how do you know if your mindset is truly being upgraded? Look at your reactions. Look at how you handle criticism. Look at what you say when things don't go your way. Look at the gap between your intentions and your actions. Your mindset lives in your habits, not in your hopes. The good news is that anyone, regardless of background, age, or history, can begin this process. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing. Willing to a question, willing to practice, willing to get uncomfortable, because that's how